this to us, and so.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was getting dire straits there for a little while. I felt worse for the supervisor because he's the point of contact for the media and everyone. And so our press releases come out on Thursday, which is, townships are closed on Friday.
Okay.
So he was getting phone calls all throughout the weekend, and he's trying to do his cherry farming and continue to manage the township. So I gave him a lot of credit for handling it the way that he did.
And,
He's a
yeah,
great individual.
hopefully he'll name a different point of contact
Yeah.
on the next big project.
Hi.
Can you sign this and give it back to me? You don't let Dave see you?
Try to.
I no longer have a name plate. Someone took it. It has disappeared. Name plate.
Yours did?
Yeah.
Should we go look?
I looked.
You looked through the whole drawer? We didn't know if you were coming back.
Not funny.
So are you sure Carl will be here this evening?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought he left me a message that he, forgive me, yesterday was a whirlwind. He left me a message that he was not gonna make the site visit. But then I think he also, actually, then he called back again, and there's a guard building tonight. I don't think we will have that.
Okay. Very good. We have a quorum.
The cobwebs are clear here.
Okay.
That said, we do, yes.
Okay, good. So it's 6:30, and it's time to reconvene the East Bay Charter Township Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for Tuesday, June 14th. Could we have everybody stand and face the flag, and let's recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and could we have a roll call now?
Cook. Ewan.
Here.
Gonzalez.
Here.
Wolf.
Yes.
Stasinski. No. Hausman.
Present. And regarding the agenda at this time, we'll review for conflict of interest. If anybody has a conflict or potential thereof, please state so now. Hearing none, we'll go on to approval of the agenda. And before we discuss, I would like to move that we add an item to the agenda, which regards zoning ordinance RFP selection.
I will make a motion to approve the agenda with that added item.
I will second it.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. All right, and now it's time for approval of the minutes from our 5/10/2022 regular meeting. So,
I move to approve the minutes of the 5/10/2022 regular meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I will second that.
moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. And at this time, we will open up the floor for public comment. If anybody in the audience has a comment you wish us to hear that does not involve items on tonight's agenda, here's your opportunity. All right, hearing none. And did we have any correspondence for tonight's meeting, Leslie?
Anything that you have should be in your packet.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And did you want that zoning RFP selection at the beginning or the end of the agenda?
We could do it at the end.
Okay,
That's fine.
thank you. So at this point, we'll hear agenda item number 1, which is variance request 5-22 by TC Hospitality Partners. They are located at 1050 US Highway 31 North, Traverse City. Their property identification number is 28-03-207-026-1. They're located in the Regional Business RB zoning district, and they're requesting a variance from section 412.6.H, access control, parts 1 and 2, more specifically requesting a variance to have an additional driveway to the development, whereas the ordinance only permits one driveway for each development, or it requires a minimum spacing of 400 feet between the driveways. And Preston, Mr. Taylor, Ms. Carner, do either of you have any thoughts or guidance on this prior to presentation?
Good evening. I was just going to provide a little bit of context. The Planning Commission approved the site plan for this Hyatt Hotel at their last meeting, so that was last Tuesday evening. The approval was conditioned upon the ZBA granting a variance, and generally, best practice is for the ZBA to first grant the variance, and then, Planning Commission site plan approval. As staff, we are comfortable making the recommendation for the Planning Commission to approve the site plan conditioned on ZBA granting the approval, and that's the primary reason behind that is just because the Grand Traverse Metro Fire Code is very clear that a hotel of this height, that a building of this height needs 2 entrance points. So the ordinance, as you know, only allows one driveway. The one exception is if there's a 400-foot separation between driveways. The parcel does not allow for that 400-foot separation. There was a previous development that was approved back in 2018 on the same site. It was a hotel. And so the previous developer had explored other options, looking at cross-access connectivity specifically to the Hampton Inn. And so in reviewing the minutes and talking with staff that was here during that time, that developer really exhausted all options trying to make that connection with Hampton. They were looking for a significant sum of money for that connection. And the township really doesn't have the ability to require the connection, because when the Hampton was approved, that was not a condition of their site plan approval. So when the Planning Commission approved the Hyatt Hotel, they are requiring a cross-access future connection to the Hampton Inn, but that would only be upon redevelopment of the Hampton Inn. So they're going to have an easement in place, and that'll be recorded with the Register of Deeds, but we're stopping short of actually building that connection. So I guess from my perspective, the really the only feasible option at this point to satisfy the Grand Traverse Metro Fire Code would be to have those 2 entrances off of US 31. Have not received the permits yet from MDOT, but favorable review from MDOT, and the Grand Traverse Metro Fire comments are included in your packet.
Okay, thank you. And at this time, could we have the applicant or their representative step up to the lectern and give us any details you wish to share?
Hello, Chris Abbo, Birmingham, Michigan, representing the ownership and the applicant. The 2 entrances were based on a recommendation of the engineering and access, and considering that it was an existing 2 entrances and that the Grand Traverse Metro Fire Code is going to be requiring it, we just hope that this gets approved, and if there's any details, Chris, that you provide other than everything you already have.
I think Claire and you already covered everything. So like Claire said, the property is only a little over 300 feet wide. There's, to provide the 2 accesses, there's no way to get to 400 feet. So, I think it's any building that's over 30 feet high has to access, so that's what we're hoping to get tonight.
All right, thank you, sir. We may have questions, so we'll ask you to come back if necessary. Does anybody in the audience have any questions or comments regarding this? Okay, hearing none, we'll open it up to the board for discussion and possible action.
I've got nothing.
Pretty straightforward, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's pretty clear. They need to have a second entrance into the property, so it's fine.
I like that they looked into alternatives and nothing was found, so I'm fine with it.
Right. I agree. So if there's discussion, bring it on. If somebody would like to make a motion, I'd entertain that as well.
All right, I'll move to approve agenda item 522 for the TC Hospitality Partners and grant them the variance they require for a second entrance onto the property.
And do you feel the basic conditions have been met?
Yes, certainly under the special conditions, number 1.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion,
I'll second that.
moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations. And with that, we'll move on to our added agenda item, which is related to zoning ordinance RFP selection. So whoever would like to lead this, here's your opportunity.
So the township issued a RFP for a complete rewrite of the zoning ordinance. And so the timing is generally once you finish the master plan, then you go ahead and update your ordinance to be consistent with the master plan. So last night, the township board unanimously approved the master plan to go out for the 63-day public comment period. After that, the planning commission will be holding a public hearing. So we're kind of getting right to the finish line on the master plan and are looking to update the zoning ordinance. The township has secured some funding through MEDC for an update to the zoning ordinance and is going to additionally set aside some match funding for that. So it's going to be a pretty big project. We're excited about it. It's going to take a while. We are looking for a representative from the ZBA to serve on the selection committee. We're going to have also a representative from Planning Commission as well as staff reviewing the applications for the proposals for the zoning ordinance rewrite, consulting firms that would lead that charge. It's been open for almost a month now. It closes this Friday, and so I would anticipate, that the timing for that would be reviewing proposals, kind of scoring them in a matrix, and then meeting with that selection committee to make a recommendation to the township board. We would also be looking for this person to potentially also serve on the working committee that continues to work with the consultant as well. So if you're interested in the selection committee, we would also hope that you'd be interested in continuing to work on the ordinance update, because we would like to have staff as well as a representative from the ZBA and Planning Commission to help us kind of work through recommendations. You're all using the zoning ordinance. We want to make sure that it's workable from the ZBA's perspective and would make recommendations to Planning Commission and ultimately the township board on the updated zoning ordinance.
You have 3 very qualified candidates here. Who's interested?
We've been undergoing a zoning rewrite at Acme for over 2 years now, so I would like to continue to punish myself. I'd be happy to do that if my schedule would allow with the girls, of course. But if somebody else is interested and has more availability than I am, it's not going to hurt my feelings if you would like to do that.
Well, I will volunteer as a backup in case you can't make it, then you can put my name down, so.
Okay.
Great. Anybody else?
I can't go with these credentials. they've got it.
Great. Is that
Wonderful. Yeah,
sufficient?
thank you. Yeah, thank you both very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Reports. What happened on the town board? Okay, let's move on to planning and zoning, please.
We had our meeting last week. You mentioned the Hyatt was one that we had moved on. In addition to that, we had a special land use permit at the industrial park on a issue about letting for parking of their vehicles there when they do any repair work and things of that nature, and that was passed. TC Water Sports came forth, had made a number of concessions in relation to some of the issues with their neighbors. Those concessions were significant, and we approved TC Water Sports for operation.
May I ask just generally what the concessions were about?
They have a hut, which was about maybe 2 or 3 feet from the edge of the property. That hut was used for registration of anybody using the facilities, as well as selection of any equipment that would be necessary, such the flotation gear. They had mentioned that what they would do is that they would remove that hut, and therefore any of the registrations would be on the actual dock area itself, so that would really move the folks away from that area. The other thing is that they agreed that there would only be a set number of pontoon boats there, as well as the jet skis. So they limited themselves to both the number of pontoons and the number of jet skis, which is actually below the requirement that had been, or at least the letter that they had received from the township. In addition to that, they also agreed that they would not be ferrying in any additional boats or jet skis from outlying areas, that they have a couple of other locations, and they would not be bringing those boats in to be used in the facility, that in fact they would limit themselves to those boats. That was it. Those were some major issues that were causing some problems, and based upon their concessions, the board agreed that they could have operation.
Very nice.
The last item was a possible zoning amendment dealing with the buffer zone and bridges over creeks and things like that, and that we approved that to go out for a public hearing. And I think that were the main issues that we had.
Thank you. And at this time, we'll invite public comment, if anybody has anything at all.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Madam Supervisor. One, you did mention about the board, what happened at the recent board meeting, and Claire touched on the master plan update, but I do want to let you know a couple other quick things. One is the township will close, I believe on July 19th, on the acreage afforded to us by a DNR trust fund acquisition grant. That'll be, I can't remember the acreage, but south of Mount Holiday. And so that'll be pretty exciting. And also, we approved an RFP to go out for engineering services for the 3 Mile Trail Extension South that we're partnering with TART and the Land Conservancy and Norte with. So that's pretty exciting stuff. And then, of course, we did have a moratorium passed on short-term rentals. So that will be published, and it's effective upon the publication, which will be next Wednesday. So a couple more days, and I'm pretty sure we've seen some activity there today with that department. But but most importantly, we we did some appointments to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and I'll be in touch with those individuals to let them know that they're appointed. But there's a reason that we did appointments other than just the natural reappointments. But because, as you know, Chair Hausman, we're going to have a vacancy.
Yes, ma'am.
And I came to this meeting to thank you very much for your service to the township.
Thank you, too.
Our records that I saw, show you at 26 years of service, and I think it might be 30, did I hear?
I think it's 30.
Yeah,
10 years, I found.
30, okay. So, amazing tenure, an amazing tenure. And just the tenure of 30 years is pretty amazing, but what really makes it important is the fact that you have, with all the staff that I work with, other elected and appointed officials, have a unanimous impression upon everyone and love of everyone for your kindness, your work ethic, your diligence, your commitment to the community, and that's huge. And so while I'm sure we'll be thanking you in other ways, I wanted to come here tonight to thank you.
Thank you very much. It's always been engaging. We've got a great board, and I think the only constant has been Leslie. Awesome then, awesome now, and I'm thankful for her, too.
Very sweet. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, upcoming meeting date, Tuesday, July 12th. Is everybody okay with that? All right, anything further? Adjourned.